Okay, so there's an issue with ChatGPT trying to come up with zero-shot code, and that is contextual awareness or lack of contextual awareness for the conversation. So as you may know, if you're using ChatGPT, you often get better results if you prime a conversation with what you want to talk about. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about today, but in regards to zero-shot code. And what got me thinking about it? Well, let's just jump into ChatGPT so I can show you. Okay, so here's a little thought experiment that I did. So I gave ChatGPT a Python function, basically just move drone to location, and then I gave it some locations of anime characters because each anime character has a specific trait. Rem, in this case, we're going to use hair color. Rem has blue hair, Tanjiro has black hair, Emilia has white hair, silver hair, and then Ram has pink hair. So those are pretty distinct characteristics. And what I wanted to do was ask it to move to the characters because it should know this, and it does know this in fact in its database. But let's just go ahead and see what happens. Of course, I asked, can you move to the girls? So it should pick out 3 of them. 3 of those characters are generally associated with being girls. And so it says all 4 of them are girls in this case, so it just kind of listed all of the names for the characters, which was incorrect. And then I re-asked which ones would be girls, and I just re-clarified and it said Emilia and Ram. Okay, that's suitable. It missed Ram in this case, but let's say, and then I said, can you move to the blue-haired one? And it says, I'm sorry, but there's no specific location for a blue-haired character. And so this is where its lack of contextual understanding comes into play, because it does know, in fact, in its database that Rem has blue hair, but it doesn't know in this case that that's who I'm referring to. So let me, in fact, just browse through the other questions that I asked. Here is, can you move to the blue-haired girl? And then I said, think about the character traits. You should know this, and it should know this, but it says I don't have access to external information such as specific character traits or characteristics. Of course, it doesn't have access to external, it's all internal. So let me go ahead and show you what other questions I asked it. Think about the character from the anime, which character has blue hair, and move to this one. And it thought of some other character, Saber from Fate Stay Nights. Incorrect. And so I asked it one more time, rewording it a different way, and then it said I had to specifically ask it to think about the 2 characters. It told me Rem and Emilia, reiterating the character name Rem, and then it got it correct in this case, and then subsequently it got the following case correct here as well. So you may be asking, how does GPT-4 do with this? Well, same thing. GPT kind of has the same lack of contextual understanding. I did the exact same thing here for the most part, and I said, can you move to the girl? And then it said Emilia or Ram. In this case, it's missing Rem. And I said, can you move to the blue-haired one? And it moved to Ram, and Ram has pink hair. So that is incorrect in this case. And same thing, it just goes along the line of here, Ram has pink hair. So it knows what color Ram's hair is, except it moved to Ram when I specified blue. And same thing here, so move to the one with blue hair. It moves to Emilia afterwards, who has white hair, and it just kind of picked and chose between them. So it doesn't really understand the context in which I'm asking it. I'm asking it about anime characters, and so yes, it wants me to re-clarify. GPT-4 doesn't do any better in this specific case. How about let's get away from anime characters and let's go to fruits. Okay, so here's the exact same thought experiment with fruits, and this one does a little bit better. I'm gonna assume because anime characters are a little bit more niche compared to fruits, but this one still needs some clarification along the way. So I said I want to move to the yellow fruit, the yellow one. So in this case, I gave it banana and lemon. It should technically ask me which yellow fruit do I want to move to, but in this case, it automatically thinks about lemon and moves to lemon. Okay, cool. And then I asked, how about the red one? I gave it an apple, and it should move to the apple because it's, you know, generally typically red, but it doesn't. I have to specify the typically red fruit, and in this case it reasons apple and gives me the correct location. And then along the same way as well, I had originally asked move to the green one, but I had to say typically green one in order for it to move to the green ones that I gave it, which was the cucumber. I don't think it's a fruit, but a cucumber and a watermelon. Again, it should have asked me which green fruit should I move to, but it did not. So I questioned it here. The other green fruit I have listed, and it says, I'm sorry, there are no other green fruits listed here. So I go down this long list of, asking it like, hey, I don't know what the name of it is, so I'm giving it characteristics, and then once I give it has stripes, it determined that, okay, this guy wants me to move to the watermelon. And to just reiterate on the yellow fruit part, I said, okay, well, can you move to the other yellow fruit? And it should give me banana, but it just thinks that there's lemon. Think harder. And I explicitly said think harder so that it can rethink on what I gave it. And now it says, I apologize for the confusion. So, however, I realize that you have been referring to the banana fruit as well, which is also typically yellow. So there are some cases where ChatGPT's lack of contextual understanding would be not so good in zero-shot code, where the goal is to be able to create and execute code that is perfect from the first shot instead of having to reiterate. And can you imagine if you just had to do all this clarification between GPT for, you know, a certain task that you wanted to do? That seems a little bit inefficient. Now that I've talked quite a bit, let me go ahead and go through the solution for what I've decided or what I found so far, and that is to give it some context. So this is what we do when we're prompting ChatGPT anyways. We usually prompt it to say, hey, you are a science professor. I'm going to be talking about chemistry. You have 20 plus years of chemistry. And so that primes the GPT conversation to start thinking about related text or vectors in chemistry. And so that's what I do here. So I give the characters, I do the exact same thing. I give the characters names here. And then instead of just asking it straight away, I ask it, can you provide physical characteristics for each character I provided you, and provide a list for each, please. So once I do this, now that it has a characteristic for each of the characters in the conversation, it's going to respond pretty much perfectly for whatever task that I want to do. So blue hair, black hair, silver hair, pink hair. So what I can do now is just simply ask it, can you move to the blue one? Perfect. And it moves it to Rem's location. Pink haired, perfect. Ram, silver, Amelia, gray. And it says there are no gray haired characters here in this case. And and so let's just continue. And I'm gonna say, how about black hair? It's gonna move to Tanjiro. And then if I say a character, if I say a characteristic that is very close, so I'm gonna say white hair. And so if I say something like, how about white hair? Because it's explicitly stated in the previous part of the conversation what the hair colors are, unfortunately, it won't know that I'm referencing Amelia, because Amelia could be mistakenly referenced as white hair. So that is one limitation, though, that I've noticed with this way of doing things for, you know, specifying things specifically in the chat. So I would have to say something about, how about a one that has a color like white for the hair? And now it knows to move to Amelia. So, you know, that is a little bit of just, you know, prompting it a little bit better, figuring out how to prompt it, and figuring out how ChatGPT actually pulls information. So from what I've been reading and researching on how it pulls information, is it basically chunks everything into specific related categories. And so that's why if you start asking it from something that is really unrelated for a task that you want at hand, it may not pull it. So in the original case, it's like, okay, this guy wants to do Python coding for a drone, so we're gonna probably look for Python code, we're gonna look for drone movement and stuff like that. It's definitely not looking at anime characters. And that is, you know, that's what I figured out. So I just wanted to talk about that today in today's YouTube video. I think it'll be useful for people trying to prompt things a little bit better, and just for my understanding of how GPT works. And, you know, there are plenty of other YouTube videos out there that talk about priming conversations and stuff like that. This is just kind of a derivative of that for, you know, one-shot coding. But anyways, that's gonna be today's video. So I'll see you again later, guys. See you later.